Hey guys, King of Charmanders here. Alright, so I will be testing out the 5 most common lineups / teams in Ultra Premiere according to data provided by YTX. Again, his Twitter link is below. He posts all this great data that it's pretty useful if you analyze it. Like, if you get used to building teams / keying in on patterns, like, it'll really click in your brain, like, really fast, and then you can recreate really good lineups off the bat. But this is going to test the top 5 teams. Now, I'll be using Team 6 instead of Team 5, the triple starter team, just because I don't have a perfect Toxicroak, so I don't plan on building one, just because Toxicroak is a great team. Toxicroak Lapras core is, Toxicroak Snorlax is a great core, and a lot of people are using it. However, it's equally just as good as the Venusaur one. As you see, number 3, Team 3 through 6, all have the same percentage of usage. So, I'm going to use the better, I would guess you would say the better Stardust efficient one, because I don't have a Toxicroak, but I think the number 6 one would still do well. Venusaur and Charizard and Swampert is a powerful lineup, and they do very, very well. According to PvPoke, not in that particular order, but a Dragon Breath Zard and Swampert with Venusaur in the back is the number 2 team in Ultra Premiere right now. It's the second most powerful team, so triple starter is very, very powerful in Ultra Premiere. So again, I'll be using number 6 and then number 4, 3, 2, and 1, and I'll be giving my honest opinions teams as well as some really sweaty battles. These teams do work, and they work very, very well if you play them very well. A lot of the battles you will see are actually going to be against former 3000 Elos / legends. So without further ado, let's get started with the battles. Hope you guys enjoy. Alright, so team number 5 actually had a Toxicroak in it. I'm going to use team number 6 instead of team number 5. Team number 6 actually has a triple starter team. It features Venusaur in the lead, Swampert as your safe switch, and Charizard as a closer, or as a switch depending on how it goes. Now this is why Venusaur is in the lead, because if Venusaur wins lead, usually you draw out the Venusaur in the back or another counter, and then Charizard can go to town or Swampert respectively. Now there's 2 ways you can play out Charizard. You can either Blast Burn through shields, or you can do chip damage. As you see here, I'm going to build up to a Blast Burn, hit the Dragon Claw. Even if you don't land, or even if you don't take a shield, what can happen here is that you can do shield 1 and then farm down. So ideally you want to Blast Burn, but I like this play over here because I can get a ton of energy. And we know that Ampharos is going to come in anyways and farm me down, so I don't want it to get a lot of farm. But what I can do is hopefully put pressure on my opponent, because Blast Burn does a lot of damage on Ampharos. A Blast Burn will do a lot of damage on Ampharos, and it will pressure your opponent to shields. Actually, any of these community day moves will. It sucks. Like, if you've probably eaten a lot of moves if you're watching this video. I have too, and it's very uncomfortable. I'm going to Dragon Claw here to try to bait a shield. There's a lot of pressure on my opponent, because if I if I hit Blast Burn, it's not going to kill, but it's going to do a lot of heavy damage, and I could farm it down. As you see here, I'm going to hit the second Dragon Claw, and hopefully we break a second shield, and we get the bait, and then I'm vibing here. My opponent has a ton of energy. However, what I'm going to do is I'm going to send in Venusaur to sponge the damage. That's the play here. Unless this thing's rocking Dragon Pulse, I should be able to sponge Focus Blast, and I can also sponge Thunder Punch. So I'm looking pretty good right now. Not going to shield here. Going to save my shield for whatever's in the back, because I don't know what's in the closer. I could use that shield for whatever's in the back, because what they have in the back is a Gallade. And Gallade actually is very dangerous because it can Leaf Blade my Swampert. So I'm kind of glad that I left my shield. Alright, save my shield. Frenzy Plant, however, does a ton of damage, as you see here. All I'm going to do is send in Swampert, and then I'm just going to Hydro Cannon down. I do have a shield. I will shield here because a Leaf Blade will kill my Swampert, because Leaf Blade is double super effective. If you've ever seen Mud Boys get Frenzy Planted or Leaf Blade, they die a lot. So you want to make sure your Swampert's pretty healthy. So we're going to Hydro Cannon over here. This is GG's. All we have to do is send another Hydro Cannon onto the Ampharos, and this will be GG's. Actually, I'm just going to go straight Earthquake, because for this version, I'm using, like most Swamperts are actually using Earthquake to do heavy damage against Laprases, etc., and in the mirror. And Earthquake works for electric types because they one-shot like this. Especially in Magnezone. Magnezone will die to one Earthquake. It's nuts how powerful it is and how much damage it does. But this is GG's to my opponent. That was a very good match, and as you see here, community moves are just so overpowered. If you're using starter Pokemon with community moves, they will serve you very well in Go Battle League. Any variation of triple starter will work, so you could kind of like realign that team how you want, but they're still really, really strong. I guess that's what I do like about Ultra Premier. There are some very cheap options you can do here. When we're on to the next battle, this is a Snorlax, Kingdra, and a Togekiss. So I lead my Snorlax into a Talonflame. This kind of sucks because the thing about Talonflame is that Talonflame can do heavy damage. They can rev up with Flame Charge and then they can burb me. Or they could choose to burb me and then switch out. As you see here, I'm going to go straight for Body Slam. I could have saved up to my Body Slams and then hit it when they would try to burb. However, if I want to do as much chip damage as I can. Snorlax is bulky enough to where it can eat a burb and it can eat a Flame Charge. As you see here, we're going to eat a whole burb. It's going to put me in the red, but I ate it. And now, we can take a few Incinerates. I'm going to try to get to a Body Slam so I can do the one break shield or to take out this Talonflame. If they don't shield, this will kill because now they're debuffed. So you see, we do grab a shield, which is great. I'm going to keep trying to, or I'm going to go for another Body Slam, but I actually managed to somehow bait, like, they blow their energy here. My opponent should have just tried to farm me down, but at the same time, this is a safer play. And plus, they win switch, so they don't risk the chance of them hitting another move, or they don't risk chance of me losing alignment. As you see, this really weird glitch happens. I'm assuming that Talonflame did go down, so they just have to switch into new Mon, but that's still one of the most, like, this is like one of the weirdest glitches I've ever seen. Now they finally send in their Mon, and it's an XL Scrafty. I'm like, oh crap. I'm going to go for the Octazooka here. I should go for the Outrage, because it's likely my opponent is not going to shield. Just because they can tank a move, because XL Scrafty is super bulky, but I do get the debuff. This is why Kingdra is an amazing save switch. You get the debuff right here, you could do so. You have a lot of play, and there's a lot of fancy things you can do. As you see, Foul Play's damage is resisted a lot. They send in Umbreon, and I'm like, okay, this is good. This is why Togekiss in the back is so strong, or just the Charmer in the back in general. So if your opponent's rocking XL Umbreon, or if they're rocking Double Dark like over here, Togekiss will probably cause your opponent to rage quit. I'm leaving Kingdra in just to make my opponent think that, oh, I have nothing for their Umbreon, but I'm pretty sure as soon as I send a Togekiss, they're gonna GG, because Togekiss will wipe out this Umbreon, and it wipes out Scrafty. As you see here, my opponent does quit. And that's GG's. For my next match, I have another rank 10 / actually 3000 elo. I forgot what I called it. I just say 3000 elo because, you know, 1024, you know, you made 3000 elo. It sounds simple to call everyone that made 3000 elo 3000 elo, alright? So here we get Kingdra into my Excavalier. This is Excavalier, Swampert, and Venusaur. Swampert is the save switch. This is just with an Excavalier lead. I personally don't like this team. I don't know why it's the third most common one, because Talonflame equals death, and a lot of people like rocking Talonflame. With two things weak to Talonflame, or fires in general, this team's really dangerous. As you see here, I do manage to land the Mega Horn, which is great, because I can eat an Outrage or an Octazooka, and it can attempt to farm down. They send in their Swampert, which is a big mistake, because I have a Venusaur in the back. This seems to happen a lot. Just because Swampert and Venusaur are very, very powerful. As you see here, I will fire the Frenzy Plant right away because I do not want to eat an Earthquake from this Venusaur. I mean, from Swampert. Venusaur gonna go to town. I think I eat this for science, and I'm like, oh wait, no, I don't eat it. I shield the Earthquake because you don't want to eat it for science, and it's actually a Hydro Cannon anyway, so I'm just jacking up all the way. But you know what? I don't shield this one, and this is probably an Earthquake. Now I remember. Yep, this is an Earthquake. If you shield the Hydro Cannon bait, they can get to an Earthquake. I should still be able to farm down and keep alignment. However, that did big damage to my Venusaur. The good thing is I still have a whole Swampert left. Having a whole Swampert and having a shield is nice, but they weren't even shield scenarios. As you see, I'm just going to fire Frenzy Plant right away because I just can't risk the farm down. Dragon Breath will KO my Venusaur, and I'd rather get rid of their Kingdra that comes in. Now we have an Empoleon. So here's what kind of sucks. Alright, so I have to either I either have to bait with Earthquake or I have to land a Drill Run. So this is gonna be a very tight match. My Excavalier is very hurt right now. So I'm not actually sure I can get to a Drill Run. But as you see here, I go straight for the Earthquake hoping that they don't shield, and my opponent does make a great call. Shields the Earthquake, and I can't get to the other one. I try to frantically get to the other one, but unfortunately, they do get their energy before I do, and this Hydro Cannon will KO my Swampert. My only hope is that I do get to a Drill Run, and that should be GG's if I can get to one. It's almost there. I live the last waterfall, and I get to the Drill Run. This should KO, and that's GG's. Again, because this team is double weak to fire, I don't like it. However, it is the number 3 most commonly used team in Ultra Premier, according to the data. So, it's a good team, but you're playing really risky with this team. I like it. I don't mind it, but like I said, Talonflame, very, very risky. Talonflame, very, very risky. Other than that, GG's to my opponent. Again, for these content matches against ranked 10s are very, very sweaty matches. But again, this team does really well. It's just I'm kind of confused about Talonflame, because if you lose Swampert and you can't win Switch and then take out Talonflame, you're gonna have to Sludge Bomb or find out something fancy against Talonflame, because Talonflame gonna do a lot of damage to the back. Alright, here we go with some Legend on Legend action. For some odd reason, whenever I'm doing content-related stuff, I'm always facing really, really good players. So, I'm using Shadow Dragonite, Gengar Safe Switch, and Empoleon is my closer. As you see, we get a Surf Edge into our Dragonite. This isn't necessarily bad for our opponent, because Night Slash still does a decent chunk of damage. As you see here, they do fire off the Night Slash, and there's no reason for them not to fire one. There's Night Slash still does a decent chunk of damage against my Shadow Dragonite. They send in Empoleon, so all I'm gonna do here is get a little bit of energy. I'm gonna switch out. I'm going to switch into Gengar. So here's the thing about this. Here's the thing about Gengar versus Empoleon. The thing about this entire team, all of them are squishy. They're not very bulky at all. This team has insanely high amounts of pressure. It does really well for the sheer virtue of that. You're going to deal a lot of damage. You will do as much damage as humanly possible with all 3 of these Pokemon, because none of them can tank a lot of moves. The only way I will only tank something if you resist it, but even then, it's still going to do a decent chunk of damage. I will double shield here, and I will farm down. I should have Focus Blast, but that's okay. I'd rather take this thing out right now, and then I have a ton of energy to throw at whatever's in the back. As you see, my opponent is up 2 shields, so I gotta take those 2 shields. However, I have 3 Pokemon. So, what is my opponent going to do? So, my opponent switches into a Wing Attack Charizard. Wing Attack Charizard is great. I love it for Ultra Premier. Generates a ton of energy really quickly, and as you see here, we're gonna try to break a shield with a Shadow Punch. And we do. We get the shield with the Shadow Punch. I'm gonna fire the second one to do as much chip damage as I possibly can. So as you see, we get the Shadow Punch down. I will let my Gengar go. I'm going to send in my Dragonite, and actually no, my Empoleon with Waterfall and attempt to Waterfall down. I'm gonna think my opponent's gonna switch, and they do switch out. They switch. I fire my Dragon Claw here to try and take that last shield. I should be able to get one more Dragon Claw off unless they don't shield, and they do not. I managed to get to another Dragon Claw. This will kill, so my opponent will have to shield. I might be able to take them out with the water. Yeah, I should be able to Waterfall down, or the Dragon Claw goes through, and that's GG's. My opponent was pretty much done, because what happens is my Empoleon can survive a Blast Burn, but as you see here, this team is very pressure heavy. A ton of damage, very risky. And for the last battle, I get another freaking legend. Another one. I don't mind fighting good opponents, but like when you're trying to make content, like you're like, dang dude, like there's no mercy. Anyways, Empoleon Double Dragon is the final team. It's Empoleon with Kingdra Safe Switch and Dragonite. What this team does is basically you Safe Switch with Kingdra, and if you lose the lead, and try to Octazooka your way to a debuff or Outrage to take back Switch. As you see, I get a Driplim into my Penguin. Empoleon, this isn't a bad matchup, however, that's if I don't shield the Shadow Ball, and I don't shield the Shadow Ball. As you see, Shadow Ball does a ton of damage. My opponent is down a shield. I should be able to get to another Hydro Cannon, and I do. Now, this is either one going to take out my opponent, or we're going to have them in the zeros. Again, if you lose the lead, you switch out. In this case, I'm just sacking my Empoleon. We take their last shield, and I will gladly come out of this match with 2 shields. Two Dragon Breath users with 2 shields should be pretty good. It should be pretty comfortable. So as you see here, I switch out into Kingdra. There's no point. I already broke the last shield. I don't want them to farm me, and I get a Bronzong. So this is an XL Bronzong. Dang. So XL Driplim and an XL Bronzong. This is a great time for us right now. Bronzong does resist Dragon Breath, and it's also, as a level 50, very bulky. So as you see here, I'm not doing a lot of damage against this gigantic well, technically it is a floating dong, so floating bell slash dong, and we're gonna get Psyshock down. I'm gonna try to Octazooka down and try to get a debuff here, because ideally I'd like to come out of this with a shield. Ideally. But the double dragon strat is very powerful. Again, all you have to do is if you lose League with Empoleon, switch out and debuff as you see here. Debuff, 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 or outrage through shield. In this case, we get the debuff. I'm not going to shield this. They are debuffed, so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to eat the damage here, and this Psyshock down 2 might not kill. And it does not. Hopefully, I'm able to take down the Bronzong, and I do not, unfortunately. However, if I send in my Empoleon to get a little bit of energy, and they have a Scrafty. Here's what kind of sucks. I have to get a Hurricane off. As you see, I'm tapping to my left because I need to get Hurricane on the Scrafty. And what they're going to do is they're going to try to sacrifice their Drifblim, so I have to be very careful. However, I don't know if that Drifblim has banked energy. They send in their Drifblim. Drifblim does have banked energy. So what I have to do here is I'm going to shield this Icy Wind. I'm going to farm down this Balloon, and I have to Hurricane the Scrafty and hope a -1 actually takes out the Scrafty, which it should. I hope. But as you see, XL Central here. GG's. Again, I hope you guys enjoyed the battles. These are really good teams. Again, with this team, all you do is save switch into Kingdra and try to take back switch if you lose the lead. Then you play out the matches accordingly. Good luck in your Valley League sets. Please like and subscribe if you have not already. And I will see you guys on the next video. GG's to my opponents. Good luck in Go Battle League sets. Appreciate you guys. You guys have a wonderful day. Hope you enjoyed these teams. Hope you enjoyed the battles.